And I'm back. So here's the deal. I took a lot of footage since my last video, which was a while ago, but I just couldn't seem to muster up the energy, the initiative to kind of make a video out of it. Basically, it came down to Brandy visited for the first time after she'd left, and we had a really great time. We went miniature golfing. We went to the Cocoa Village, and we saw a show. One of our favorite bands and friend James Spiva with Hot Pink was performing out there, and we watched them perform, which was always a good time. And drinks and just hit our usual spots, and then it was time for her to go again. And I thought her leaving would be like easier the second time for some reason. I thought, that it was just the initial shock, and that she would come back, and I would realize, internally that this is going to end eventually. We'll be living together again, and everything go back to normal. But it hit just as hard when she left the second time, and it just kind of put me in a slump. Are you super happy to be going back to Colorado, Brandy?
Not without my friend.
That's what you miss the most?
Yeah.
Not the humidity and the moistness of the skin?
Yeah.
It's me. I miss you too. Basically, I didn't want all my videos to just be like kind of depressing, but that's where I was mentally. I was kind of in a depressed kind of headspace. But I also didn't want to put videos out that were disingenuous. So those of you that were keeping track, I had a couple big projects I needed to take care of the house. First and foremost, we had to fix the back porch. That was the biggest project. I had a porch out there. I had a little space cut out for the grill, but the wood was real rotted. So my buddy Randy came over, and we tore out all the old stuff, bought some new wood, and kind of just spent a couple days repairing it. The demo was tricky because it was really rotted out, so a lot of it was just kind of falling apart. Couldn't just unscrew it. A lot of tearing. But once we got it taken apart and had the wood, it was pretty smooth sailing. Randy really knows what he's doing. So yeah, just kind of, he cut and measured. I drilled, and yeah, it was done pretty quickly. And then my parents came over at one point. We were running out of daylight, needed to get that wood off the side of the street the next day, so they came over and helped me take the old stuff, put it on the side of the road, which was pretty awesome of them to do. They didn't have to do that, but yeah, that was awesome. And then I had to move to the garage. I'd fallen through the garage at one point, like Clark Griswold. Brandy was pushing the Christmas tree up through the hole to store it, and she pushed. I pulled. My foot came off the side, and I ended up falling through the ceiling. Which, thankfully, I caught myself, or I would have landed on a couple propane tanks, which would have been really bad. But yeah, Randy helped me with that one too. Once that was done, it was painting that I had to move on to. I needed to paint. I thought at the time it was just going to be the bedroom. When I got the house, the color scheme I went with was like this burgundy red and this mustard yellow, and it was I don't know. I thought it was great at the time. It matched this picture that I had. That's basically why I picked those colors, but really hard to cover up. So my sister Jamie came over. I'd throw a couple real thick coats of primer on, and then finish up the bedroom. So it was just kind of a nice neutral color that could actually be livable for somebody not like me. But I actually ended up thinking that was going to be only painting, but needed to do some stuff in the hallways, some touch-ups too. Thankfully, my mom and my niece Rachel came over, and they helped me knock that out, which was awesome because that needed to be done. I did still have a couple work trips that I went on. I ended up going to California and Cleveland. Didn't do too much in California. In Cleveland, ended up going to like a baseball game, but really I was just kind of, I don't know, just kind of doing what I needed to do for work, and not really taking that much footage. While all this stuff was going on, I wasn't obviously making the videos. As I said, I was just a little too down, too depressed, but I was having like major anxiety. And I'm not one to go on Facebook and like reach out to talk to people. It's just not my way. I kind of just internalize stuff and deal with it. But I just kind of had a low, and I vague booked, and it was interesting. I got shamed a little. And then we came up on my birthday in July. It was pretty awesome because I went to Las Vegas. I'd never been to Las Vegas before. Those of you who've been there know it's a pretty crazy place. I ended up walking like 10 miles a day, not intending to. We weren't trying to get our fitness on, but that's just what ended up happening. Really amazing food, drinks. We saw some great shows. We saw Zumanity, which is like a Cirque du Soleil, like adult show. We saw this show called Absinthe, which is a real carnival, tent-like atmosphere. It was awesome. I mean, the stuff that these people do hanging off of ropes and just dangling, like putting chairs on top of chairs and balancing, it was really insane. When I got home from Vegas, I had somebody that wanted to rent the house, which was awesome, except now I had to scramble to get everything out of there. And that's when I had a full-blown panic attack. You know, just had all the stuff I needed to do. But family came together for me. I had my Aunt Georgia and her husband Henry came out. My mom, my dad, they came over, and we just started getting rid of stuff we didn't need, selling all the rest of the stuff that we needed to, and packing everything up so I could move over to my parents' house until I ended up coming out to Colorado. So ended up getting the Forerunner, which I dubbed Susie 2, Too. My first vehicle was an Isuzu Trooper 2. It was pretty much the same color as that one, and this is kind of an homage to it. So Susie 2, like also, but it's also the second one, so, you know, Susie 2. So we ended up taking all the stuff that was in my mom's house that we could fit. We jammed it into Susie 2, and then the next morning we decided to start our road trip. So cool thing was Brandy actually came in to do the road trip with me. Initially I was going to do it solo. And then she found out she had all this extra vacation she didn't know about. So I said, well, if you want to, why don't you just fly in and we can do the road trip together? And the idea was to just not drive more than, 4, 5, 6 hours at the most, and just kind of actually check out the country a little bit, which is what we did. The first day was the longest day. We drove to Jacksonville, had breakfast with some of her family last minute, and then we shot up to Marietta, Georgia, where we stayed at her Uncle George's house. He was out of town. We just stayed there for the night. And then the next day we headed out to Cookeville. Cookeville, Tennessee was our next trip, which was not that far. We went there specifically so we could stop into CrossFit Mayhem, the mecca of CrossFit gyms, as far as I'm concerned. It was an awesome experience. Went inside. Everybody was super cool. We ended up getting coached by the person that just won Fittest Woman 2019, Tia Claire Toomey and her husband Shane. They actually coached us, which was mind-blowing. After Cookeville, Tennessee, we headed on to St. Louis, Missouri. Ended up reaching out to my tattoo artist, Trevor Collis, to see if he could meet up. He actually works out of St. Louis, but he usually inks me when he does his convention stuff. So I'm like, hey, let me reach out. Thankfully, he was around. Him and his wife, they came out. We had dinner, just drinks and talked. Good to see him. And then that was it for St. Louis. The next step of the trip was on to Kansas City. So we went to Kansas City, had a really good time there. A lot of things planned that we didn't actually get to do, unfortunately. We wanted to go to the speakeasy that was connected to this really cool hotel we were staying in, but it was closed. And I wanted to check out a World War I museum, also closed. So this is, we're walking up on a World War I museum, but everything in this city on Sunday closes at 5 p.m. So just walk around it, I guess. But the stairs are cool.
Yeah.
We'll get some exercise, get our fitness in. So we we'll just walk around and explore the city, and it's just kind of rained on us. But all of that, it was still really neat, and we fully intend to go back to St. Louis to Kansas City, because it was really cool. There's a lot of cool stuff we didn't get to check out, and we want to. So we're going to be back in Kansas City for sure. So we ended up staying in Salina, Kansas, I guess. It was cool. And then before we knew it, 6 days later, we were in Colorado Springs in our home, kind of putting everything in the house, not really unpacking, but just kind of bringing everything inside, so we could have that moment that we talked about before she left. I told her, I said, look, this is going to be really hard. I had no idea how hard it was really going to be. I said, but eventually we're going to be able to sit on our couch and we're going to be able to clink our glasses and we're going to be able to take a deep breath and say, we did it. And so we had that moment. And then, the next day we started unpacking and getting everything ready. So I made it. I'm here. Finally. So now that I'm here, I have one more work trip I have to go on, Houston. I'm going to take as much footage as I possibly can. I've never been there outside of just like 1 week trips to do active shooter stuff. So I'm really excited to check out the area, see what it has to offer, drop into some gyms. I'm going to stay in downtown Houston over the weekend. So super, super looking forward to that. And then, then I'm back here. And then I have to find work. Again, sorry it's been so long. I just kind of went through a bad patch, but I'm back, and I guess we'll see you next time.